Hey guys, and welcome to the ultimate test of skill. Today we have a tournament game between Captellus, going under the name of King of Atolia here, up against Wenin of Clan GGX. And we have an Empire Mirror match. The gloves are off, they're going to get down and dirty and go straight into that grimy fight of man versus man and beast versus beast. Not too many beasts though for the forces of Captellus today, and this is going to be a good highlight of ranged troops versus cavalry. What is better, what is more pivotal to the Empire faction? Is it their cavalry or is it their ranged troops? And Captellus certainly believes it is the range here today, coming in with a complete foot build, apart from Volkmar, I suppose, riding dirty on his chariot, but no cavalry, which is very uncommon in this mirror matchup. But from previous experience facing Captain in these matchups, getting advice from him as well, playing in tournaments and Empire Mirror matches, I do this quite a bit as well now, and it can indeed be very, very powerful. So we have some spearmen and cheap swordsmen in the front line, including the regiment renowned Sigma Sons, ready to die for their god. I don't know if they actually think Sigma's a god to them, or is he just like a real legendary figure, because I know Sigma's just actually a man. Some swordsmen in the secondary line as well. We got spearmen in the back and flanks, guarded as well. A couple of halberdiers holding that central pocket nice and secure, which I like. Halberdiers, very, very underrated unit. Incredibly cheap and incredibly powerful. We do have the Silver Bullets. They are a regiment of renowned unit of handgunners who have Stalk, which is really useful, and a bucket ton of Huntsmen and Archers. The Huntsmen have Stalk, Archers are super cheap, and we even have a Free Company Militia in here as well. Free Company Militia should definitely be used as a secondary unit, not really as your main damage output for range, but use them in the secondary battle line, kind of like backup swordsmen who can also shoot their shot here and there. Very nice unit all round. Of course, you can't really have a build like this so dedicated to range without some ability to pin the enemy in place. And lacking that cavalry, it looks like the Empire forces have indeed gone for a light wizard, come with Net of Amantok, Falls Protection, and a Power Stone. I like his hat as well, very cool. We have a Warrior Priest down on this side, coming in with all his buffs, and of course it is a Volkmar the Grim, the most competitive lord for the Empire, leading the battle charge. Maybe not the most competitive in this matchup though. I see a lot of people bringing Marcus Wolfhart and Karl Franz, so we'll have to see how the bald-headed priestling does indeed perform today. He's coming in with all the good stuff, including regeneration of course, and now she'll be leading his forces up the hill to take the high ground. We also have the Death Jacks, which are the regiment renowned archers who do have Stalk and Snipe and Vanguard deployment hidden right in the corner. For the forces of his opponent here and Wenin and the Red Empire forces, we do have Outriders. So 1, 2, 3 units of Skirmish Cav, 2 of them are Pistoliers, 1 are Outriders, no grenade launchers sadly for us. We do have 2 Empire Knights backing them up and holding them down, so a nice contingent of 5 units of cavalry. Definitely going to be winning the mobility game, which could be crucial because we have 2 great cannons as well to drag the enemy into them. Those poor Empire for Captellus going to have to pull themselves down the hill through the mud and into the enemy battle lines. Front lines can be a lot thinner. We have spearmen and swordsmen dotted all the way along, of course some Sigma Sons as well, and a couple of spearmen in the back, protecting those great cannons, as well as triple crossbowmen. Always good to see crossbowmen in action. You don't get to see them terribly often. Decent range and some pretty good AP as well. We do of course have a Jade Wizard. Unfortunately, if you bring Karl Franz, you kind of have to bring a wizard to ensure you get value. He's kind of Earthblood and Regrowth, and we have Karl Franz up in the sky, looking as regal and beautiful as ever. In one hand, he lifts the mighty Dwarven Forged Garl Miraz. On the left, he holds the Rune Fang, both signs of his authority, and he's going to be advancing aggressively now towards the enemy formation. Our Riders do pop forward. Unfortunately for them, they have basically 0 good targets apart from Volkmar the Grim, and Volkmar the Grim has regeneration. That's one of the real nice things about this type of build. Your opponent almost has to invest in some ways of killing cavalry, just in case you bring some, and then you bring none, and all that investment kind of goes to waste a little bit. Although Outriders will still be, okay and a nice harass unit. Likewise, they can move into combat to shut down ranged troops or shoot at the big boy Volkmar himself here. You can see the forces of the Green Empire have taken the high ground. Unfortunately for them, they are going to get enforced off it. A load of cannon shots come in and start slaying some models. They've raised their shields. I don't think your shields are going to do too much, lads, unfortunately, up against a gigantic cannonball. So our Riders will be skirting along the front battle line, just skirmishing, poking, doing damage where they can, and we do have the Death Jacks moving into position. Now, this is a real nice use of this unit. In this matchup, your opponent can sometimes bring mass artillery, so having a sneaky unit of archers in the back is not something most players expect when coming up against the forces of the Empire. So if they can get on top of those cannon crews, they can take them down very, very quickly. The Empire forces of the Green Empire are going to start advancing as quickly as possible now. looking to take the fight to the enemy and start pushing down the hill. Of course, this will embolden them a little bit. Hey, we get a charge down here. That's going to feel much better than running, pumping those legs all the way uphill. However, doing it whilst getting obliterated from pistols from the range and from the flank isn't too nice either. It looks like the Empire are going to be splitting their cavalry into two different formations. We have the heavily armoured Empire Knights being led by Karl Franz, whipping around that left-hand flank, while the skirmish cavalry, the pistolers and outriders are moving around the right-hand side. Now, it looks like Mother Grim did pull himself back a little bit out of range of those cannons, as well as those outriders and other troops, is now going to be moving forward, realising the threat that the cavalry can possess. The Free Company Militia are going to get shot up a little bit by pistolers. However, the trap is now sprung and the huntsmen reveal themselves from their hidden bushes and start obliterating the pistolers. A really nice trade there coming out from the Green Empire forces. The pistolers are almost breaking, just about escaping there, though they did lose quite a few good men there. And it looks like the pistolers are being forced back as the Empire continue this slow push down the hill to the enemy. Taking your time under cannon fire can be pretty tough, but it is buying more and more time for these Death Jacks to get into position. You can see there's nothing now guarding the rear for these great cannons. Sigma Son's taking a little bit of a beating here. Crossbowmen are starting to let loose some of their arrows, doing some pretty decent damage to the swordsmen, but it is going to be a clash of the shield wall in the front. Sigma Son up against Sigma Son, brother against brother. This is going to be absolute carnage, and it looks like the downhill charge is actually going to give them a bit of an advantage. Their opponent kind of stall a little bit in front of them, maybe needing to psych themselves up a little bit before the main engagement. Now, the Free Company Militia are being focused down by the crossbowmen. A load of the archers do turn and engage, though. Karl Franz gets hit by a net of Ammontalk and starts getting obliterated. The remaining cavalry does jump on top of the silver bullets and tries to shut them down, but there's so many halberds nearby. The halberds are doing an amazing job right now of cleaving horse and rider asunder. Karl Franz does get a fat overcast regrowth. That's going to buff him up 2,000 HP. By God, did he need it. Now, there's still some Empire Knights struggling to get out here. It looks like they are being pinned in by the mighty wall of halberds, who have actually dragged down quite a few decent models. You can see the majority of the force was actually over here in the distance. In the main battle line, of course, Mother Grim is going to be huge at clearing out enemy chaff. However, he's a big pincushion. And we have all of the crossbowmen, as well as those great cannons shooting into him. But one great cannon has been taken offline. The Death Jacks cackle once more from the shadows. They need to move forward quickly and start shutting down the second one before his opponent does realise. Karl Franz once again gets hit by a net. The Huntsman, as well as the Free Company Militia and the Silver Bullets, are starting to open up on him and do some really nice damage. Look at his health just get deleted! Those Silver Bullets do so much work. Spearmen are keeping the Empire Knights at bay. Some are forcing their way in, though, and the pistol is being used in that combat mode, trying to overrun Huntsmen wherever they possibly can. Really good usage here of the cavalry, coming in by Wenin and the Red Empire forces. Mother Grim is taking a decent amount of damage. The crossbowmen do unleash shot after shot into him, and the pistolers are starting to focus him down. They're pretty terrible against armor, though, and he does 100 armor. However, Karl Franz is very good at killing single entities, so with a lovely little buff here of Garmaraz, as well as the Rune Fang, plus a regrowth, he's going to come in and start just, bam, slapping Volkmar upside of the head. Although he's trying to fall back here to the safety of the Free Company Militia and other ranged forces. But you can see the Pistolers, as well as the Empire Knights, have forced off one unit of Huntsmen, and now are trying to finish off those Silver Bullets, who are currently fighting hidey holes amongst the halberds. More Huntsmen are being overwhelmed now by the Empire Knights. Front line is going pretty good, though, for the Green Empire forces. You can see the Death Jacks did take out both cannons, shattering them, and finished off some crossbowmen as well. Really lovely play with quite an obscure unit. 1,200 damage value. Really lovely work here from the cheap and cheerful archers. They are going to be getting chased away by spearmen, but hey, you've done a good job, lads. Take those guys on a merry little kind of path through the woods. These Empire Knights, up to 103 kills, have been constantly hounding and harassing the back line, up to nearly 1,000 value. Karl Franz is very close to his healing cap, though, and these halberdiers are just absolutely demolishing the fast mobile elements of the Empire force. I faced Captellus before, and I know how frustrating it is trying to shut down his range units. He is very, very good at protecting them. Silver Bullets are doing a really nice job now on the Franzmeister. Pistolers starting to move into combat. They may break, though, before they get there. They're taking a decent amount of damage from these archers, and we have more Huntsmen moving into position. Sigma Sons are currently just vibing, chilling, waiting for the enemy to come crashing against them once more, where they will no doubt hold the line. War Priest looking pretty epic as well, but once again needs to be a little bit more engaged. We do get a nice fat cast here of the net of Ammontok on this poor unit of Empire Knights. The other Knights have done so good. Nets, in any RTS game, anything that immobilizes the enemy is always found so much in top tier competitive play, dominating the battlefield, giving you map control is massive, and you can see this unit of Empire Knights is simply nothing now the Red Empire can do. They take so much damage from the combined force of the Halberds, Spearmen, as well as I think a few shots coming in. They're actually shots from the Outriders shooting into the Empire Blob, but looks like these Empire Knights will indeed be getting their just desserts. Warrior Priest brings down the wrath of Sigma onto the enemy, as I believe Volkmar did unfortunately go down to Karl Franz here. Balance power, though, is still in favour of the Green Empire at the moment. Just about, though. Karl Franz can certainly put this game on his back, and a lovely swooping attack animation. Unfortunately, he's kind of surrounded by Halberds and Spearmen. He's looking to shut down the silver bullets. They keep managing to escape, but they are currently terrified by his mere presence. They bow before the one true Emperor. Spearmen are getting nice and aggressive, going to shut down the crossbowmen. Good play here, just getting real aggressive at all his forces, beating back crossbowmen, and now actually disengaging against the crossbowmen. I would probably force my Sigma Sons over there still, but bring back the Warrior Priest. Looks like he really wants to kill this Jade Wizard, and that's just what he does actually. So he disengages, moves the Sigma Sons into the crossbowmen to tie them down, and now the Warrior Priest can come over here and start spanking at that Jade Wizard. Empire Knights are going to be trying to save the crossbowmen. It will do okay. I mean, it's a nice charge. They go nice and deep into the formation, but I feel like the Spearmen will probably get to pull them apart. The Deathjacks just leading the Spearmen on a merry chase through the woods, frolicking as they go. Outriders are nearly out of ammunition at this point. We can see the poor Light Wizard is getting absolutely slammed right now, and he's going to break. He does pop Power Stone. He did manage to get a net of Arantok down on Karl Franz, who is going to float up into the sky once more, but the Huntsman can start to do some pretty okay damage to him. There's not that many models left, 31, but it all adds up, particularly against someone like Karl Franz, who's not the tankiest lord in the world, and only has 1,500 hit points at the moment. There's a lot of Empire troops, though, for the green guys, just kind of chilling around, taking the high ground, been a nice defensive formation, and look like they're trying to rally the Silver Bullets and Archers, maybe protect them in the later stages of the game, knowing they are the best counter to France. Spearmen are currently absorbing damage from the crossbowmen. We have more swordsmen getting nice and aggressive. They're actually going to come over here and save the Deathjacks, which is pretty huge because the Deathjacks don't really know where they are with that stalk and unspottable and snipe, and they'll be able to hop on top of, Karl Franz, do some nice long-range damage. Franzia Boy is trying his best to save the Jade Wizard. Unfortunately, he's at his healing cap, so I don't think the Jade Wizard is going to be that amazing. I mean, dropping Earthbloods and Swordsmen and Spearmen isn't great, but, saving your Wizard will help the balance power quite a bit, and maybe he can get in there and assassinate a Warrior Priest at the same time. Seems like Franz, though, instead of trying to save his friend, is looking to avenge his friend, coming after the Light Wizard and floating out to meet him, though the Huntsmen are going to get some nice damage once again, down to 1,258 HP for the mighty Karl Franz. Spearmen in the back lines have finished off the crossbowmen and just about clinging on for dear life now. A lot of ammo has started to wane it pretty thin for both forces. That Jade Wizard is certainly getting forced off the battlefield here today. Light Wizard once again is being sniped out. Little did Karl Franz know the Silver Bullets were lurking. Up to only 2 kills so far on these bad boys, but 2,000 damage value. Legendary stuff. And Karl Franz, he's trying his best. You can see the Red Empire played in a really good job there, went in of dancing back and forth to try to juke and avoid shots. Unfortunately, with the loss of Franz, army losses will kick in, and it shall be a victory for the might of Capt Tellus, and there is no shame in losing to Capt Tellus in an Empire mirror match. It has happened to me before. Me and Capt Tellus have had an awesome Empire fight as well, which was legendary. I think I cast it on the channel quite some time ago. We were on someone's live stream, I'm not sure whose it was, but yeah, he's a tough cookie, particularly when bringing the force of Empire or Tomb Kings to the table. Well played to Wenin, well played to Capt Tellus, aka the King of Atolia here. You both played really well, and that was quite a ridiculously close game. Does that prove once and for all that guns, firepower, and bows is more powerful than cavalry? Well, probably not. I mean, it depends on the matchup. If the cavalry can overwhelm the guns, and the guns are basically useless. They kind of counter each other quite nicely, actually. Although the guns need a lot more support here to help protect themselves from the enemy cavalry, and they did a relatively decent job of it. I mean, bringing that Light Wizard is so crucial to a build like this, and it's having an infinite amount of spears, halberds dotted all over the battlefield to keep those knights at bay. We will go into the damage dealt and damage value of all of these units in just a second. It did look like Volkmar the Grim fared far worse than Karl Franz despite getting the same kills. When we delve into all that in just a moment. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a fat juicy thumbs up. Brand new news, I have a Twitch account now where I'm going to be doing bonus content, including some Total War Warhammer content. Link for that down below, as well as a link to my Patreon and my Discord. On Discord, you can support the channel by sending in replays, and I might get them cast here on the channel. You can also take part in events, keep up to date with what I'm doing, and all that kind of cool stuff over there. Feel free to subscribe as well. We've got loads of cool subscriber goals coming up at 7,500. We're going to be doing a very special stream. And comment down below what you thought of this game. Do you prefer Cavalry? Do you prefer ranged firepower? Which one do you think is more pivotal in the Total War Warhammer universe? I would certainly say that ranged troops fare probably the best in Total War Warhammer of any troop in the game, but particularly skirmish cavalry, though we didn't see too much of that today. Just a couple of pistoliers and the outriders. Well played once again to these lads. Volkmar the Grim, only 554 damage value, not too much on him there. The real MVP of the heroes was this light wizard, just with those beautiful nets, pinning in France time and time again. Warrior Priest got 614 damage value, not too shabby, certainly picked up the mantle of Volkmar and led his troops to victory. Spearman across the board just did a decent job bogging down the enemy, slowly pushing into the enemy backline as well, and it was kind of a similar job today for the swordsman. Units which stood out, those halberdiers are both basically full health, still got 400 and 550 damage value. Really not bad considering they're basically untouched going into the later stages of the game, and they're such a good deterrent as well, forcing back cavalry from whence it came. Sigma Sons, 992 damage value, 145 kills. They did pretty good comparing to the Red Sigma Sons. The basic archers are disgustingly cheap. Did get 600 damage value. Good work there, lads. Only 116 on the Free Company Militia and 334. The Death Jacks, beautiful play there by the Death Jacks. 1,205 damage value. Just shy of 6k damage dealt. Took out 2 great cannons and some crossbowmen, and also dragged more resources away from the main battle line. They were probably the MVPs today, alongside that Light Wizard. Huntsman did beautiful as always, 1,000 damage value, 700, and 2,135 damage value on the Silver Bullets. As for winning, Karl Franz, 1.3k damage value, which, just shy of 1.4, isn't too bad whatsoever. Finished off Volkmar, but really struggled to find a home, just so many guns and pointy sticks all over the place. Jade Wizard obviously did good healing, no damage there, and the Spearman and Swordsman just did a similar job, though they were eventually kind of overrun by committing so many of those other troops to the flanks in the form of the cavalry. Capitalis' forces were eventually able to push through. Crossbowmen did okay, 460 damage value, 334, but also 1,097 with 111 kills. These crossbowmen were certainly on site compared to the other ones. Another art force which got 111 kills, just like the crossbowmen here. Again, 1,106 damage value were the Empire Knights. They did so much work disrupting the enemy. The other unit, though, only 200. It's kind of sad to see these mighty knights, who probably would have been elevated to Knights of the Blazing Sun or something, or Reichsguard for their heroic performances today, maybe even Panther Knights. Well, unfortunately, is it Panther Knights or Leopard Knights? I can't remember the law, but they were due for a promotion. But unfortunately, Net of Amatorka did indeed slaughter them. Pistoliers, only 320 damage value, 350, 800 on the Outriders. Good news though, moving them into combat to harass the enemy back line. The poor Great Cannons, I mean, they still did so much work before they got shut down. 1.3k damage value and 728. Not shabby, did some good damage to the characters, particularly Volkmar the Grim, in the mid and early stages of the battle. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Until next time, peace, peace. And as always, stay awesome.